Hi, welcome to today's webinar. My name is Drew Logston. I'm the Senior Director of Marketing here for OMNIA Partners, and I'm joined today by some amazing and incredibly talented folks. We have some folks from the University of Dayton here joining us today, as well as some folks from our own regional manager field team, and some folks from Just Walk Out Technology by Amazon. Today we're talking about revolutionizing retail operations in the higher ed space and ways that University of Dayton are exploring that and pursuing that initiative, and ways that Just Walk Out Technology can assist, and how this can all be done through the OMNIA Partners Cooperative Purchasing contract that Just Walk Out has. So we'll do some brief introductions first to start off, and I've already introduced myself, but I'm going to hand it over to the University of Dayton folks first. Just share your name, your title, and kind of what department you work in, and then we'll just keep going on the horn. Joan, I think you're on mute.
Hello, I'm Joan Bauman, Executive Director of Dining Services at the University of Dayton.
Hello, my name is Caleb Monin. I am the manager of the Emporium Just Walk Out store on the campus of the University of Dayton.
Excellent. We'll send it over to our Just Walk Out friend, David.
Hey, I'm head of specialty retail for North America at the Amazon Just Walk Out team.
Perfect. And last but certainly not least, Brittany Enright from the OMNIA side.
Yeah, hey guys, I am Brittany Enright, Regional Manager for Higher Education in the Midwest.
Perfect. Well, we'll just dive headfirst into this here. We got a couple questions. We want to go through our panel here to help explore this and get some insight on it, and to hear University of Dayton's impactful story here. So let's start off with the Just Walk Out side. I think we've seen about this technology. We've heard about it. I'm sure if you've flown in a major metropolitan airport in the past couple of years, you've seen the grab and go concept of just walk in, take what you need, and walk right out. David, could you help elaborate for us kind of what this technology does and how it may serve a college or university?
Yeah, first, thanks for having us, Drew. I'm super excited to share Just Walk Out's design, its background. It really was perfectly designed for unique dynamics of campus retail. Students today are pressed for time and cash. They consistently need access to food and essentials outside of traditional hours. Just Walk Out Tech by Amazon uses computer vision, sensor fusion, and artificial intelligence to create a completely frictionless experience. Students enter the store using a credit card. They can use a mobile wallet, campus app. They grab what they want, and they just walk out. The tech automatically tracks their selections and charges them only for what they took. It's transformative for 4 different reasons. I'm going to walk through briefly. To date, we have this on about 45 campuses, or with 45 institutions around the world in the US, UK, Australia, and Canada. But what we're seeing is that it causes a perfect storm for campus demand. It captures the perfect storm. So, for example, universities have a very valuable customer base. 70% of Gen Z students shop campus stores multiple times monthly, with 1 in 3 purchases being impulse buys. That's 40% higher than your typical shoppers. Students living in dorms need frequent single-serve purchases due to tiny fridges, limited storage. This high-frequency, impulse-driven behavior kind of creates this compounding revenue opportunity. Second, there's just a labor versus access challenge across the universities, and so universities can only serve this high demand customer base during staffed hours typically, but students that need 24/7 access for late night studies, for fuel, for weekend essentials are kind of served with the tech. We eliminate this constraint by reducing dependence on labor, which is generally the second largest cost after your inventory, while enable extending hours in multiple locations without proportional staffing increases. So big perk on the university side. And then third, it's optimizing categories that align with student behavior. One of the big features we hear is that students want convenience and variety. 57% of students prioritize selection, 47% want healthy options. The technology enables strategic product placement. We can do fast zones at entry for 3-minute copy runs. We can do essentials in the back that drive traffic through profitable impulse aisles, data-driven planograms that it can be optimized weekly based on purchasing patterns. And then lastly, it's proven in higher education. I mentioned we have 45 institutions that have currently implemented this. Some examples: University of Virginia, University of Nebraska, our great friends, University of Dayton, just across the world. The technology scales from 100, 200 square feet to 2,000 plus square feet, and it can integrate seamlessly into existing campus systems. Kind of the bottom line is we can transform universities' built-in predictable customer base into 24/7 revenue opportunities while reducing operational complexity. Convenience technology is that's purpose-built for the university environment.
Outstanding. That's super exciting. Well, that's what's on the brochure, right? That's what's on the window label. Let's switch it over to our friends at University of Dayton, because I'm really interested in understanding a little bit of what brought you to exploring Just Walk Out technology, and kind of what was the status quo before you kind of made this leap. Because I think most of our audience today is going to hear about how you went through this process, what questions you maybe asked yourselves, and kind of how you got to this next step with this new technology.
Sure, I'll talk to some of those points. We had a convenience store before we converted to the Just Walk Out store, and it was a great convenience store, but we did hear students asking for later hours, and we had difficulty finding people to work those later hours. So we had been slated for remodel for several years, and so we kind of took that remodel. We did a full remodel when we made the transition to Just Walk Out technology. And one of our first wants for the new store was that it could be open later, and being open 24/7 was even better. We also, following the pandemic, wanted a contactless store in case we ever had another pandemic, we would be all set to go. So having the contactless and the convenience was awesome. And the third thing we really wanted was that students could go to our store and pay with their meal plan. And Just Walk Out technology was one of the very few people that said they could work with us to do that. Couple other things, our convenience store had a deli, and we wanted to keep that full service deli in the store. So again, Just Walk Out worked with us to find a solution that we could have an in-person deli ordering, and the students could pick up their sandwich. We also had mobile lockers, and they helped us with that solution as well. And the other thing was, as David mentioned, labor. And I'm going to let Caleb speak to that in a minute, but saving money on labor was also very important to us. And then our timeline, it took us a little longer than most people would like. It took us from beginning to end about 1.5 years, but that's because we did a full remodel and we had several delays with construction, like getting permits and things like that. So things that were kind of out of our control. But the Just Walk Out team was great to work with. We started in the fall of 2021 and we opened in May of 2023. And that allowed us to have the summertime to do troubleshooting and train people and have it, work out all of our kinks before we reopened again. I mean, to the big new student population in August. So we thought May wasn't ideal in the beginning, but it turned out to be good for us.
Perfect. Caleb, anything else to add there? Oh, you're on mute there, Caleb. Caleb, you're on mute, I think.
Sorry, I hit the mute button. As Joan stated, labor was one of our largest things. And to that point, we had 12 BU employees, fully staffed employees when we were the old deli. Now we're down to 2 full-time employees, but still able to create that same revenue because our numbers have, since the old store used to close at 11 p.m., we're able to stay open 24/7. So students are able to hit those odd hours like David stated. It gives them that opportunity to come in at any time.
Outstanding. I'm curious from both of you, what intrigued you most about Just Walk Out technology from the get-go, right? Because I guess going through this, there's the traditional of we'll just remodel and do the same old in terms of an in-person experience. But what intrigued you guys the most about in those early days or weeks of exploring options?
To your point, your question there, one was again labor, but the one big thing for us was theft. We would have students come in, literally, steal from us blind, either putting things in book bags or putting it under their jackets and walking out. And when this was brought to us as the Amazon option of just picking stuff off the shelves, putting it in your book bag at that point, and they will get charged for it. So it allows us to capture, almost 99.9% of every transaction, which, at the end of the day is huge. And that was one big thing for us because we've seen it in some of our other units, but now we don't have to worry about that here with the Just Walk Out technology.
Outstanding. Anything else, Joan?
No, just we also were surprised at how easy the technology was to work with, that using the handheld devices to scan new items in, and you can recreate your shelves and your product mix very easily, that we can teach our student workers how to do that, and they can stock shelves and make sure everything is correct and working properly.
That's so interesting you say that because, obviously in a campus environment, and you just pointed out, you guys probably have lots of student workers and probably high turnover in that workforce as well too. And so having a solution that is easily trainable is probably pretty important for y'all, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the unit day in and day out, and it's very nice with the handheld. I mean, you can teach these student employees or full-time employees to use it. And if they need to do a price check, a product placement, a lot of times the manager will do that, but then they can fix the heartbeats and any of those back end issues that, if the manager can't get to it, we're able to teach multiple people how to do it.
Outstanding. Going back over here to David from the Just Walk Outside, I'm curious on, and you mentioned a little bit, scalability for different campus options, right? Because I think about, now I'm going to date myself. I think about my own collegiate experience, and we had the TV room, right, kind of on the ground floor, and I'm not sure if that's still used the TV room anymore, communal space, but that space is kind of one of those odd, weird, small size spaces, and I'm just considering, as campus move forward, as they identify these nooks and crannies, if you will, that are kind of dead zones, right? They used to serve a purpose, that a printer used to go there, and there's no need for that anymore. And so is this scalable for different campus sizes? Is it just for large campuses with really robust or refined dining operations like Dayton, or is this for, all different shapes and sizes?
It's definitely all different shapes and sizes. We I off the top of my head, I couldn't tell you how small the smallest university we work with is, but 1,000-ish students, maybe closer to that, and all the way to your University of San Diego's, University of California, San Diego, where they're opening their 5th store. I believe they just launched it on their campus, and there's just a lot of opportunity to continue looking at opportunity where retail can be enhanced for the students and to meet the student population. Their needs. So it isn't just convenience stores. We also offer RFID technology that works well with merch. We can do bookstore type elements. We were evaluating a lot of projects in that space, and then really any kind of retail, coffee shops. Your on-store needs can just be met through the wide suite of products that we offer today.
That's a great point in terms of merchandise. I imagine in the higher ed space, athletics, right? I think about, merchandise and athletics facility. The last thing anyone wants is to wait in line to get the hoodie or the hat, right? Especially when you got kids maybe that are begging for it. So that's interesting.
Yeah, for sure. The RFID tech, our 2nd gen, is really, really great, and it's meant for pushing lines and making them, not have to wait in line be an issue for abandonment. Athletics, great use case. There's just so much potential that we're still untapping right now in that university space.
That was also a great call out from Caleb. I really hadn't considered it before you just said it, Caleb, the loss prevention aspect here, and that being, probably a pretty big needle mover in the grand scheme of things, because that's a common thing across any kind of quick service, right? Old school system, but having a system where, as you pointed out, The minute you pick it up and put it in a bag, it's charged, right? The transaction has occurred when you walk out the store. So that's pretty interesting. Well, let's kick it over to Brittany from the OMNIA side of things. And Brittany, you work with a lot of higher education campuses across the Midwest and talk to a lot across the United States as well. What are you hearing in terms of retail operations on campus, how this technology might help, and what problems they're occurring or coming up against in that business operation space? You're on mute as well, Brittany.
It's like we're at the start of COVID all over again, huh?
Yeah.
So David, chime in if you have anything to add too, but we're seeing a big push in higher ed to rethink retail on campus, right? So especially around, as Joan mentioned, like your staffing shortages and the need for the 24/7 convenience. Students are expecting that quick tech-driven experience, and the Amazon Just Walk Out technology helps schools meet that demand, right? So it's giving universities new ways to manage costs, expand their retail hours, and deliver more modern experience that aligns with what students are used to off campus too. And then from an operations perspective, it's helping campuses gather better data on purchasing trends, optimize inventory, and that directly supports the financial sustainability and strategic planning for the universities too.
Outstanding. Yeah, we'll come back to Dayton on this, but I want to hear from David. You talked about some of the data analytics stuff that comes through here. What does that look like on the user end, right? And how can maybe campuses use that to maximize, throughput, maximize where merchandise goes? I mean, is it to the point where almost they can be able to say, hey, this is a hot commodity, or a lot of folks are walking around this corner, we should put things over there in that corner? Is that kind of the general direction it is?
It's absolutely that. Student traffic is just an important merchandising aspect, but it's really the data that's available on what's selling versus what's not. Maybe how many facings of a product you're going to put in a store. If you have a whole wall of, I'm just going to say snow globes, but then you find out you only need one line of snow globes because it's a pretty uncommonly purchased product, then the tech kind of helps deliver data and insights on through the merchant portal that groups get access to. So you get a good, clean view of your store, its performance, what's selling well, what's not, and then obviously you can take that data and build on it significantly depending on what platforms you use and so forth.
Was that a solution or a gap that was helped fill, Joan and Caleb? I'm just curious in terms of data, because I imagine traditionally, if you wanted to collect data, you'd be limited to just the POS system side. And in terms of traffic, someone standing there and then just kind of visually looking at who's walking where. But, are you seeing more robust data to help inform better decisions now?
Yes, it definitely does help. And like David had mentioned, that there's those gray zones, the spots that are just kind of dead. It'll help you think, okay, should I put an item that moves well, just kind of put it there and see. Because you can tell, if you've done it long enough, you know what sells and doesn't sell, but you don't always know. Like you just want to push 2 shelves worth and it's too much. So, but that allows you to then get another item that is a top seller that you want to add in that you didn't have before. So yeah, it's great data to have.
Yeah, I agree. We also get data as far as the time that each student is in there, and it's usually less than 3 minutes. So they're just going in, grabbing a couple things. In fact, it'll say how many items is our average, how long they were in there. They can actually do traffic of where they're moving, and it's really great data. And the time of day and items sold. And it has definitely helped us with marketing and where to place things to get optimal sales.
That's so neat. I think that data aspect is so interesting. I'm sure it is for y'all too. Because I think at the end of the day, we talk about, business operations and retail and improving revenue for the facility and the store. But, Joan, you hit the nail on the head from the right get-go. It's really serving your customer base, right? Which is creating student satisfaction on campus, creating a pleasant, 110% better than the day before student experience. And so making it so They can hit the snooze button maybe one more time in the morning because they know it's going to be easy to get what they need for breakfast, right? That's a cool thing to do. Outstanding. Well, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Well, I'm gonna hear one more time from the Dayton folks on this question here, and apologies because I didn't preload this for you. But the question is, what would be the one thing you would say to a peer in the industry, a peer in higher ed who is considering this, on the fence, or hasn't really explored it? Like, what's the one thing you would tell them?
You want it, John, or you want me?
You can go first.
I would say the one thing for us is, if you don't have this technology, I would use it for the 24/7 option. Joan crunched some numbers. I mean, we do 23% of our sales between 11 p.m. and 8 a.m. That's the time people do not want to work most of the time, hardest time to staff. So if you want to make some revenue at any time of the day, I think the technology is great. So I would, if you're teetering on the fence, I'd pull the trigger on it. I would do it.
Another way it has helped us save money is now that we have this option that's 24/7 every day, we've been able to shut down other units like during break times because we're like, hey, they can go to the Just Walk Out store. So at some times where we've had to have something open so we have food for a few students that are still on campus, now we can close everything else down and we can say, just go to the Just Walk Out store.
Perfect. That's wild. That's an insane statistic that you just shared. Almost a quarter of sales through that kind of weird twilight window, in the evening, when people, like you said, typically you can't find labor or staff to serve. And, you imagine if that's just one store for maybe, folks, foot traffic in one area, right? What's the demand elsewhere, other campuses, right? To your point, students, I mean, I think we can all kind of remember when we were students that, 11:30 at night, it's kind of just the beginning of the evening for some of us at that age. So outstanding. David, I want to ask you a question here to help kind of round us off here and close us out. If someone has concerns of this is too advanced for us, I'm just not, I always think of like the average person, which is all of us really, but we're all, every day, it seems like we're overworked and underpaid to a degree, right? There's always one more thing added to our plate. What about that individual who is thinking, I can't do this. I don't have enough mind share bandwidth to really focus on right now. Is the conversation and implementation, is that pretty like hand in hand, like, or is it sort of, hey, there's a lot of pick your own choices and a lot of, you got to do a lot of things on your end?
I would say it's a build your own adventure. Our team is just world class, willing to walk through hand in hand with folks who've never done it before, to tell, hey, these are what the requirements are. We'll recommend folks if you don't have someone on your staff that can deal with this. But we try to white glove as much as possible to make this a seamless experience. That said, it is more advanced tech, and so there are new things that need to be learned. But we are absolutely along the way with every group we work with, and implementing and then operating the tech as well.
Outstanding. Well, this is so cool. I see this in the Nashville airport that I fly out to a lot, and I love using it. I've seen it at I think one of their initial flagship ones in Chicago. Super cool. I'm super excited to hear it's on campuses and growing. So I want to thank everyone, University of Dayton folks, Brittany from our side on the OMNIA Partner side, David from the Just Walk Out Technology side at Amazon. Thank y'all so much for being here today. A reminder for our attendees, if you're interested in learning more, the emails are available. We'll send a recording out after this as well too for you to access. But go ahead in the chat and type in Amazon or Just Walk Out if we want to be connected really quickly to somebody on that side, and we'll make sure they're notified and we can help facilitate that instruction. And type in OMNIA Partners if you want to learn more about OMNIA Partners and the cooperative purchasing contracts that we offer in the portfolio, of which Just Walk Out is a leading one of. And so we're happy to connect you there. And if you happen to be in the Midwest and you want to talk to Brittany, who's amazing, just type in Brittany in the chat and we'll make sure you connect with her. So thank y'all so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And we look forward to hearing more success stories like this in the future. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, Drew. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Drew.